Welcome learners to this second session on modes of transportation. In the previous session, we have discussed the role and importance of transportation in tourism industry. Transportation helps tourists to travel from their point of origin to the destination or site of their choice. To reach a destination from home, that is origin point, a tourist prefers means of transport that are safe, comfortable, less time consuming, that is has more speed, cost effective as in it is not very expensive, as well as convenient. So, we now know that there are three modes of transportation, namely air, water and surface or land, meaning travel by road or rail. We have discussed the modes of surface transportation in the previous session. In this session, we will be discussing the modes of water and air transportation. The objective of this sessions will be to discuss the types and importance of water and air transportation, explain the role of transportation in tourism, especially in context with India, and describe and interpret the National Transport Policy of India and describe and interpret the National Transport Policy of India. So, to begin with, as we know, we have the concept of water transportation, which means it is the process of moving people and goods over water. This can be the water bodies can be sea, ocean, lake, river, canal, backwater or even creek. We have seen that water transportation is the oldest mode of transport. In the ancient time, dugout canoe, a boat made from hollowed tree trunk, was used as the first boats. People used to use those canoes to travel from one place to another, as well as for fishing purposes and so on. Today, in this place, we have ships which are about 4 soccer fields long, large, and can carry about 1,65,000 metric tons of dead weight. So, these ships are used constantly for trade, travel as well as for leisure in the form of cruises. So, what are the advantages and disadvantages of water transportation? Advantages: relatively it is economical when compared to air, aviation and also in some cases road. Secondly, it can be used for carrying bulky heavy goods. So, when we have to send large amount of trade supplies as in the form of export, we will be using this large cargo ships, which will be more economical to send our material. Similarly, it is also a mode of transportation which is more prominent in the case of relief work when there is rain or there is flood. So, to reach the unreachable areas, we can use boats to send the relief material as well as to evacuate the people stranded there. Yes, one more important thing about water transportation, it is considerably energy efficient and has a little bit less environmental impact than say the aviation industry. So, as far as we can see, water transportation is not just about cargo, it is also about leisure, as in it is an advantage when you travel in the ships and go to a destination. Along the way you have so much activities to do, so that traveling in the ship also becomes a fun activity and not just a boring transport or a boring way of reaching a destination. Water transport in the case of India is very important, as it is also a part of our defense mechanism, as in India has a huge coastline and hence it is our second line of defense. So, for the purpose of trade, defense, leisure, water transportation has lot of advantages, but there are some disadvantages as well. Disadvantages: what are the disadvantages of water transportation? Most prominent disadvantage of water transportation is the speed. It is a slow moving vehicle, as in slow moving ship. So, it is not suitable for perishable goods. If you need something urgently, this is not the mode of transportation you would prefer. Even if you want to travel to a place urgently, then you will not be using ships or boats as a means of transportation if you have the option of aviation or road or surface transport. Along with this, ships are also quite often adversely affected by the weather conditions. So, if the weather conditions are not good, we can have accidents in the ocean. After all, who has not heard about the famous Titanic, right? So, we lost Titanic because it was hit by an iceberg. So, such kind of accidents are prone to happen. That is one of the disadvantages of water transportation, adversely affected by the weather. At the same time, the water bodies are different at different places, like the canal, the depth and width will be different from that of a river. Ocean and seas are obviously different from that of river. So, the same boat or the same ship cannot be navigated through the oceans as well as rivers. So, the ships and the boats have to be different. Most importantly, one of the disadvantages of water transportation is the expenses involved in starting the construction of a port and its maintenance. Although it is also an advantage, since we do not have to bring up new routes and construct new routes in the case of water, since rivers and oceans are already there, but the construction of ports, maintenance of ports as well as investment for bringing up new ships is hugely a deterrent at times for water transportation. Now, what is the condition of water transportation in India? India has 7,500 kilometer long coastline and has about 14,500 kilometer of navigable waterways. The water transportation in India can be classified in three ways, that would be inland waterways, coastal waterways and the oceanic waterways or the oceanic transportation. In the case of inland waterways, we are talking about the rivers, backwaters, canals and creeks. Inland waterways transport in India is managed by the Inland Waterways Authority of India. This IWAI came into existence on 27th October 1986 for the development and maintenance of infrastructure on the national waterways through grant received from Ministry of Shipping. As of today, we have 106 national waterways notified by National Waterways Act 2016. These national waterways are being developed in phases and are used not only for cargo and transportation, but also at times for leisure activities. For example, there are many river cruises which will be discussed in a while. Next would be the coastal transport. As I have mentioned, India has a huge coastline, a very broad coastline. Because of this coastline, we need to have a defense factor which looks after the coastline, as well as transportation of goods and cargoes can take place over this coastline. For example, if moving from Mumbai to Goa, a certain amount of cargo is needed, we can move the cargo from Mumbai to Goa using this coastline facilities. Similarly, there are many cruises which move from Mumbai to Goa as a leisure activity. So, coastline transport is a part of India's vast coastline. So, coastline transport is an advantage due to India's vast coastline. Next comes the oceanic transport. Oceanic transport is the freight that is used for international transportation. India is a part of the maritime international trade network and forms an important part of the routes, various international maritime trade routes. There are 13 major ports, out of which 12 are government owned and one is privately owned and operated. These 13 major ports are looked after by the central government, and other than that we also have 187 minor or intermediate ports along the coastline of our country, which is looked after by the state government of that area or that port. According to the Ministry of Shipping, around 95% of India's trading by volume and 70% by value is done through maritime transport. Along with this oceanic transport, we also have a new planning project which is known as Sagarmala. Sagarmala is a plan to modernize, develop, maintain and upgrade the existing ports of the country, and it was approved by the Union Cabinet on 25th of March 2015. The major role of this Sagarmala is not just to develop and construct the ports, but also to ensure that the last mile connect is maintained. One of the major reasons the ports of India are not being utilized to its full capacity is the lack of last mile connect, as well as the distance of the port from the industries or the raw materials of the industries. So, the last mile connect and the connectivity with these industries needs to be brought up. That is one of the major activities of the Sagarmala plan. So, when we talk about the water transportation and its role in India in the form of tourism, as I was mentioning earlier, the inland waterways also have the concept of river tourism, which is being developed in a big way. For the case of river tourism, we can say that it is a part of the cruise industry. Now, let us come to water transportation and tourism in India. The role of water transportation in tourism can be actually classified into three parts, that could be the ferry, the cruises and the houseboats. When we talk about ferry, I am sure most of you must have gone to Goa and taken the ferry to cross the river. At the same time, you might have also gone to Rishikesh or Haridwar and taken a steamer to cross river Ganga. The same thing has taken place maybe or probably by some of you in Varanasi as well, when we take a boat or the bajra and we go and observe and appreciate the Ganga Aarti from the river itself. So, these are the small kind of ferries that are also part of the tourism industry, as they help people either to reach a place or a destination and at the same time enjoy the experience in itself. How can you go and enjoy the Elephanta Caves if not by taking a ferry from the gateway to Elephanta Caves? So, these ferries part an important role. So, these ferries play an important role in the transportation of people either to the point where they have a site or in themselves. Then we have the concept of cruises. Cruises can be either river cruises or ocean cruises. In India, we have the river cruises as promoted by the inland waterways. So, we have the river cruises on river Ganga, both upper and lower Ganga. We have river cruises in Brahmaputra, which are pretty luxurious. There are river cruises in the case of Sundarbans. They are pretty popular nowadays among the tourists. So, you can spend a lot of time on the river cruises of Sundarban along with this backwaters of Kerala. So, backwaters of Kerala, as in Alleppey, you go for cruises on the houseboats, which are aesthetically designed and beautifully presented there for the tourist consumption. Then comes a case of ocean cruises. Yes, we do not have many international cruises of India, but we do have few domestic cruises along the coastline, the most popular as of now being the one from Mumbai to Goa and so forth. There also used to be some cruise liners which were going from Mumbai to Lakshadweep and to Andamans as well. The third aspect of water transportation and as seen in the tourism industry are the houseboats. We have all heard and experienced in some cases the shikaras of Dal Lake, Srinagar. At the same time, such houseboats are also found in Alleppey, Kerala. These houseboats give you an experience of the culture of the place as well as the feel of staying on the water, how it is different from a common land based hotels. So, water transportation actually plays a very important role in the tourism industry. Next comes the aviation or the air transport. So, military, in the case of military, as you are aware, there is Air Force. So, Indian Air Force is the part of aviation, but of military, which is not available to the civilians, along with the helicopters that are used by the military for its defense purposes. The other one that we have in air industry is the aviation industry, is the civil aviation, which is available to the common people, the civilians. In the case of civil aviation, which we regularly use, we have the scheduled and the non-scheduled flights. The scheduled flights refers to the flights which have a scheduled time of departure and arrival, such as Air India, SpiceJet, Emirates, Virgin Atlantic, all of them. Non-scheduled will refer to the chartered flights. They will also refer to private airlines which give out their airplanes on hire, air taxis, as well as Pavan Hans and other helicopter based. In the case of civil aviation, we have the scheduled and non-scheduled flights. Scheduled flights refer to those flights which have a scheduled time of departure and arrival, like that of Air India, Virgin Atlantic, British Airways, Air Asia, Vistara, and so on. In the case of non-scheduled flights, we would refer to those where the private airlines give you air taxi or chartered flights, as well as the case of helicopter services as Pavan Hans, which takes you to the extreme corners in northeast and so on, hilly terrains where other normal aviation will not be able to take you or reach you. So, you take the helicopter in such cases. In the case of air transportation in India, the scheduled air transport started in the year 1932. In 1953, Air Corporation Act was passed and Indian Airlines and Air India was set up. The role of Air India was to that of to ply on the international route, whereas Indian Airlines was to ferry the domestic tourist or the domestic passengers. Vayadut was formed to cater the feeder routes and hilly terrains. Pavan Hans, the helicopter service, was formed in 1985. But when we talk about the air transportation, what are the advantages and disadvantages of air transportation, which has made it so popular among the people of today? Most importantly, air transportation, the first and most important advantage is the time. The time is, the world has become a global village because of air transportation. It is the fastest mode of transport. It is useful in transporting goods and passengers to the area where normally we will take a long time to reach, and also at times not reachable by either surface or by ships or water transportation. It is also the mode which has brought the world closer. We have become a global village thanks to technology as well as to air transportation. But at the same time, there are also many disadvantages of air transport. Most importantly being, it is relatively expensive when compared to say rail transport or surface transportation. At the same time, aviation industry and air transportation is deeply affected by the weather conditions. We have heard and seen so many accidents which has occurred due to adverse weather conditions or maybe due to some technological failures in air transportation. So, air transportation has also seen more accidents in its time than any other form of transportation. It is also not very suitable if we have to send something which is bulk and heavy, as it will be more expensive, and it is not always allowed to carry with all the material or things that we would like to travel in air transportation, that we would like to travel with, as it might be dangerous in the air. So, it is not allowed. Due to this, there are many things which people do not like to travel with in the air, in the flights. So, let us come back again to air transportation in India. Air transportation, as we have said, it was there in the early 1930s, but it was at that point of time not available to all the people. It was restricted. But with the advent of the open sky policy in the 90s, the things changed for India in the form of arrival of the private operators in air transportation. Things changed in the 1990s with the open sky policy. Open sky policy, so the invent of flights such as Air Sahara, such as Jet Airways, Modi Luft, NEPC and other airlines which were private airlines along with Air India, and this led to a lot of competition, and eventually in the year 2004-5 we also saw the arrival of low cost carriers in Indian airline. So, these were the two major things which changed the face of tourism in India. First, the advent of all the private operators. Second, the arrival of the low cost carriers or the LCCs such as SpiceJet, Indigo and so on. It was started all by the Deccan Air, but eventually Deccan Air, Air Sahara were all taken over by Jet Airways and Kingfisher. Over the period of time, economic growth has not been over a period of time due to economical problems. Many of these airlines had to shut down, but as of now we have few operators along with Indian Airlines which are in the business, such as the Vistara, which is a carrier which was a joint venture between Tata Sons and Singapore Airlines. Air Asia India, a low cost carrier operating as a joint venture between Air Asia and Tata Sons, launched in 2014. There was another primary decision, that was the merger between Indian Airlines and Air India in 2007, which led to a new era in Indian aviation sector. On 28th June 2017, the Government of India has approved the privatization of Air India. A committee has been set up to start the process, but even although the process of privatization has started, still Air India became a part of Star Alliance. So, how does air transportation and tourism work in India? Air transport, though a fastest mode of transportation compared to others, is the backbone of international tourist traffic arrival in India. We have seen that there are 346 civilian airfields in India, out of which 253 are with paved runways and 93 are with unpaved runways. Only 132 are classified as airports as of November 2014. As of 2013, there are 45 heliports in India, and India also has the highest helipad at the Siachen glaciers in the world. And at this very moment, India is developing greenfield airports in non-metro cities, such as in Sikkim. The airport in Sikkim is a greenfield airport, which will help and aid in the transfer and transport of tourists to non-metro cities, especially the international tourists who visit India on a short time and on a tight schedule and would like to spend least amount of time on road and more in visiting the destination. It has been recorded that an air traffic of 131 million passengers travelled in 2016, of which 100 million passengers were domestic ones. So, air transport in India is actually growing at a very air transport as of now is growing at the rate of 9% in India, and it is hoped that it will double up in the next decade or so. Now, when we talk about role of transportation and tourism, we should always talk about how tourism in India has been deeply affected by the transport system. The most of the international travelers who travel to India would love to travel mostly on good roads, which is not so much accessible at all times. We are developing the expressways and the 4-lane national highways and 6-lane national highways, but at the same time it is still to reach the standards of international roadways. Most of the international travelers in India prefer the flights, as it saves their time as well as gives them the chance to visit more than one destination. Rail network is the one which is most popular with both domestic as well as international tourists. With the domestic travelers, as it reaches all the hinterland of the country and at a low cost, and for the international tourists, because the places where flights do not go, Indian Railways can take them, and we have certain luxury trains which will always please the international tourist. As of now, international tourist arrival in India depends on the transportation, as they are not able to reach many of such destinations which are in the interiors such as archaeological sites, certain temples, natural landscape as in the northeastern part of the country, and so on. Effectively, it is necessary for tourism professional to think about safe, cost effective, comfortable, less time consuming as well as environment friendly transport policies for tourism growth in India. This probably leads us to think about a national transport policy of India. So, what is the concept of national transport policy? Transport facility at present is inadequate and a rule has to be implemented, a role so that the role of each mode of transport can be defined. For this very purpose, National Transport Development Policy Committee was formed by the Government of India in 2010. Meanwhile, National Urban Transport Policy 2014 was given by the Ministry of Urban Development to find the solution to urban transport problems. The National Transport Development Policy Committee submitted its report in 2014 in which it have recommended a single unified transport ministry with a clear mandate to deliver a multi-modal transport system. It has spoken about establishing an Office of Transport Strategy at the national level, as well as it has recommended the setup of an Indian Institute of Information Technology in transportation. Although the recommendation of the committee has been submitted in 2014, it is yet to be implemented by the government. It is still in the process. So, to summarize, in this session you have been introduced to the broad profile of water and air transportation existing in India. We have discussed the development of these modes of transportation over the years and how things have changed as per the demand of the commuters and tourists. We have understood that what we need today is to develop an integrated plan in order to move forward creatively and economically. As we see, new technological advancements every day has changed our way of life. Similarly, transport industry also needs to reorient itself accordingly. This is an essential prerequisite for the development of tourism. Thank you.